Former Governor Bob McDonnell got some good news today from Chief Justice John Roberts. He's going to stay free until October when the Supreme Court decides whether to take up his final appeal. Here to discuss the potential for overturning McDonnell's 11 corruption convictions is our legal analyst, Todd Stone. Todd, welcome as always.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you, Bill.
How unusual is this?
The whole case has been unusual from day one, and so it's really unusual to be granted a bond from the U.S. Supreme Court because you do not have an appeal of right to the U.S. Supreme Court. It's something that's within their discretion. So bond is something I've never heard of it. So. And
because last week we had heard Chief Justice had said to the court, to the government, you have to respond by Wednesday at 4 p.m. to the request for a stay of the mandate from McDonnell's own lawyers. So telling the government, okay, respond to this by Wednesday. He's free at least until then, until we consider it. Now he sort of cements that by saying today, okay, you're free until October, basically, when we decide whether or not to take up your case.
Yep.
It seems almost as if, isn't there something of a requirement of a chance of prevailing if the court were to hear the case?
I mean, there absolutely is, and you know, this is not just about whether he's a flight risk or a danger. Everybody agrees that he's not, and so you jump to the next step, and that is looking at the merits of the case and the possibility of prevailing on the appeal and having it reversed. And this is the U.S. Supreme Court taking a cursory look at these issues and saying, okay, we see enough here that there's a possibility this could be reversed.
And that means also, since John Roberts' name was on the mandate last week, but today's was not signed, it seems to emanate from him or from the same, because the introduction said the Chief Justice or the Supreme Court is saying this is what's going to happen, he's going to stay free. Would it seem that he would have to have at least 3 others lined up, because you need 4 justices presumably to agree to take on a case?
Yeah, I don't think it's not absolutely necessary to have more than 1 to grant a stay, but I would expect that this is probably not just 1 justice. And you know, again, this doesn't mean he's going to be granted cert and that the case will be considered, but it definitely looks like it's more likely that it would be granted cert. And I think the Supreme Court is saying, look, what's the big harm, because he's not a flight risk and he's not a danger, so we will give him the benefit of the doubt and allow him to stay out while we look at these issues.
Because there's no reason to believe that the Supreme Court would know anything about the case other than sort of the headlines and what's happened.
Yeah, that's right. So they don't know a lot of the details, and they don't have arguments that are going into great depth. So, you know, that's something they're going to get later, and they may change their mind. But to think that the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals unanimously agreed, you know, judges who are much smarter than I am, all agreed to reject his appeal, and then within a couple weeks, he's out on bond from the Supreme Court. So,
all right, got something to look forward to in October.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Todd. Appreciate it.